Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow so you're not missing out, right? You don't want to miss out on any of the coverage because we got some fun stuff to talk about. One of the fun things I think we need to talk about is Colorado's recruiting offers. They're starting to flow out, and I don't know if this is a change. I think it is kind of because they're getting in on guys early. I think Colorado's starting to be more aggressive on the recruiting trail, which to me signifies a change in strategy, right? I think Deion Sanders is kind of soft launching his approach to roster building for the future. It's like, hey, we are going to bring in transfers, but based on what we're seeing from our linebackers or our corners or what the receivers, the quarterbacks, whatever it is, right? We need to have guys that we develop that have been here in the system, not bring in guys that we're just hoping things click, right? Because for every Zarian McGill and Tafiq Bayard, there's a Jaheim Otis, right? There's I don't want to throw guys under the bus, but you know what I mean. Where there's a guy like the Auburn transfer that left the program, right? There's so many guys where it's like you're just hit or miss, right? If you bring in a recruit, I feel like you have a higher chance of retaining them. John Slaughter was who I was looking for, not Colton Hood, for those of you who are going to try to be messy out there. But you have to have a sense of culture. And I think bringing in 30 plus new guys every year from different programs, it's hard to ensure and instill that your culture is always going to win through, right? So there's been some notable offers that I've seen Colorado send out. And there's a couple that I want to highlight because one, it's like future investments. So the one that really caught my attention, or one of them that caught my attention, was the number one offensive tackle in the 2028 class, Jamarius Canton. Now, Jamarius is, I mean, I'll give you 5 seconds to guess where he plays at. I'll give you a hint. Colorado's current left tackle plays there. So yeah, IMG, right? Deion Sanders has found, which a lot of programs get IMG recruits. I mean, they're literally they're like the minor leagues or not the minor leagues, but they're the perfect farm system for college football programs trying to develop top tier guys, right? I will get a little Dr. P break right there. But yes, IMG is just full of talented guys, right? So Coach Prime has found some success recruiting there, and he goes out and offers Jamarius, who number 15 player in the country, number one offensive tackle, number 6 player in the state of Florida. Offer list is everyone you can imagine: Bama, Arkansas, Florida, Florida State, Georgia's on there, LSU, or excuse me, not Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas has sent an offer, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, right? A who's who of like who they're offering, right? Like Colorado is clearly trying to build their offense line because I think, which is kind of crazy to say, having a good offense line this year shows like, hey, we really were close to contending. We were an offensive line away. Now we have the offensive line. We don't have the right parts. But if you sustain that offensive line play, like Jordan Seaton being the lone holder, he's thrived, right? So if you get another guy like Canton to come in there and be a holdover and be someone that you cornerstone, if you will, it'd be huge. Then another notable one that I think sort of speaks to the issue they've been having is Micah Rhodes. Now, Micah Rhodes, Klein Oak running back out of Texas, number one running back in the country, 5'9 and a half, 180. So he fits that Coach Prime mold of that compact guy. But he's fast. He is quick. This past season, in 2024, he ran for 934 yards and 10 touchdowns. Was the offensive newcomer of the year. Has a successful family background of athletes. His uncle played at Boise State. Was number 2 in career receptions. And then his grandfather played at Texas, was a linebacker there, right? Every school you can imagine is after him as well. Florida State, Baylor, Arizona. I do feel like Colorado's in on him early because, I mean, you need running back talent, right? Colorado has sort of stumbled on this issue of running back where they keep, I will say this year's room is good, but it got thin real quick, right? And you need talent and you need guys that fit your system. And I think he sort of fits in that DeKalen Taylor mold. So there's that. Then another guy that they offered, which, I mean, you need running backs, right? You need trench play, but you also need, and let me pull him up real quick, Jalen Anderson, 247. you need a lot of talent at. Sorry, why is it at edge? Excuse me, could not think of the word. I don't know why. Words are hard sometimes. It's just one of those things where he's got 30 D1 offers, ranked as a 3-star, but I mean, his tape through the first 5 games, 6 sacks, first in his conference, third nationally, 36 tackles, nine tackles for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, and a pick 6, right? Jalen Anderson, who goes by the Joker, Colorado has found success at young pass rushers, right? Alexander McPherson and London Merritt are the future of this program, right? On the edge. They will be terrorizing quarterbacks for years to come. And Colorado probably next year, the year after, will have a Texas Tech like pass rush, which you're saying, what does that mean? Well, Texas Tech has probably the best pass rush in college football, and Colorado's going to have that because they built it organically, right? I think there's sort of this like underlying, like, oh shoot, maybe we should build organically because it helps, right? It's Texas Tech is, I mean, they're succeeding right now because they spent tons. They spent $30 million on the roster, right? I don't think Colorado has $30 million to throw around yet. Doesn't mean that won't happen, but I do think that they need to invest in recruiting. The next recruit, and this one's the one that captures my attention. Carson Campbell, 6'3", 290 pounds. He's a freshman in high school. And you're probably like, why do we care about a freshman offensive line? The name Campbell should sound familiar, and that is because his father is Cody Campbell, the Texas Tech mega donor, right? Who's been the one that sort of infused all of this cash into Texas Tech. Where it's like, oh, why does Texas Tech all of a sudden have a lot of money? Well, it's because they have an oil tycoon who used to play offensive line for them, right? He's a bajillionaire. And I mean, a lot of programs are going to take a swing at this kid. Texas Tech has already offered him. So, I mean, I would imagine that they got the inside track, but that doesn't mean you give up. Because guess what? Maybe he wants to pave his own way. Maybe he doesn't want to follow in dad's footsteps, right? So if you're Colorado, I like this swing here. It's calculated for sure because it's like, we get the kid and maybe we get the father's money, right? Maybe we get the Campbell money. Maybe that one recruit could be worth $30 million, right? I really think that it's a long-term play. And it's not to take away from this kid. He's got the size, he's got the intangibles. He's going to be a really good football player. But you can't convince me that programs aren't going to be like, hey, love to have you and your dad. And I think Colorado is at least taking a swing at it. And that's the kind of recruiting risk I like to see from Deion Sanders and company, because what's the worst that can happen? He doesn't go there and he goes to play for Texas Tech. I mean, he was probably already going to do that, right? But if you get in there, you convince them to come to Boulder, right? It's very hard for recruits to come to Boulder and then be like, you know what? It just wasn't for me, right? Once you visit Boulder and once Coach Prime gets you in front of him, I think it's pretty hard for people, for recruits to be like, yeah, you have all these pros, you have all of this, all that, and I just don't think it's for me, right? So Colorado, quite active on the recruiting trail. I think it's going to be a sign of the times. I think it's going to be a changing of the mentality a little bit because they're offering guys so early. And I mean, they offered guys early last year, but I'm seeing some big swings. I'm seeing some more in-depth scouting of like the 3-star, 4-star borderline guys where it's like, interesting. I don't think they were in their bag like that last couple cycles. So we'll see how that works out. When we come back, we're going to talk about what the best case and worst case scenario is for Colorado in their last 5 games. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Monarch Money. Let me tell you about Monarch. Great butterfly and also a great service. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch's visual data boards or dashboards, and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money is going and how it makes it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com, for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you all for tuning in and making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, all that jazz. We don't want you missing out. I want to get to 8,000 subscribers real soon here. So I'd really appreciate this if you shared it with a friend, shared it with a family member, so we could continue to grow the show. Okay, let's talk about it. The football season, it felt like it took forever to get here. And now we're in a position where there's 5 games left. And it's like, oh, shit, that kind of happened fast. Colorado, 5 games left. They go at Utah. They're going to host Arizona, take a trip to Morgantown, host Arizona State, and then they're going to take a trip to Manhattan, Kansas to close out the year. And right now, Colorado's sitting at 3-4 in the Big 12 standings, the Big 12 scheme of it all. They are currently sitting in third to last place, so they're only ahead of Oklahoma State and West Virginia. That being said, there's 2 other programs with the same record as them in conference play. And then there's 6 programs that are, if Colorado gets 1 win and those programs get a loss, they're all bundled up. Pardon me, folks, got a hairball. They're all bundled up, right? There's about a bunch of teams, and Colorado plays a few of them, that is 1 loss changes everything for them. A couple losses changes everything for them. Let's just say this Big 12 conference is really mucked up, right? So you have Iowa State, who Colorado already beat. So 1 more loss and Colorado surpasses them because the head-to-head. TCU, Baylor, Kansas State, Utah, Kansas, they're all 2-2 in conference play, right? A bunch of those teams are going to fall to 2-3, depending on who's who. Colorado could pass them, right? A lot of things can happen. That being said, Colorado can only focus on what's ahead of them. So before we even get to Big 12 championship discussions, I need to see Colorado win a couple more games before I'll even entertain that. But you have to win out if you're going to reach the Big 12 championship. There's really no way for you to have 3 conference more than 3 conference losses and make it. So there's that. But let's talk about bowl games, right? Colorado needs to win 3 out of their last 5. Now, best case scenario, you win 3 out of your last 5, right? You beat, or that's just the not the best case. That's the average scenario. You beat Utah, you win 4 or 5 games, and I mean you're sitting at 8-4, or you win 4 games, you're sitting at 7-5. This is what I realistically think the best case scenario is. I think Colorado can upset Utah. I think they could beat Arizona. I think they could beat West Virginia. I think their last 2 games on their schedule are toughest games that they'll have this year, or not this year, but for the rest of the slate. Arizona State, physical team, just dynamic, look like a playoff team again. Kansas State, I think Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards can hurt Colorado. I think that's the combination. Utah doesn't scare me as much as I thought they would, mostly because I feel like every time they play a good team, they kind of get embarrassed, right? They lost by 24 to Texas Tech. They didn't really play anyone in the month of September, right? Outside of Texas Tech, and they lost. They got blown out. Right? They played UCLA, which was at this time the worst team in the country. Now they're good, but at this time it was a bad UCLA. They blew the brakes off of Cal Poly. They beat Wyoming, and they didn't even look that good against Wyoming for the most part. And then they beat the brakes off West Virginia. Then they get Arizona State without Sam Leavitt, so it's like they beat up Jeff Sims. It's like, okay, cool, right? Like Utah is probably at 5-2, probably the most unproven team in the Big 12. I think, right? I think simply because of they're riding off preseason expectations and sort of a cupcake schedule, or a cupcake. I mean, they have a cupcake schedule, I guess, in the sense of like the teams that they've beaten up on have all been bad or severely injured. And then when they play a true team, they lose, right? So I think Colorado can upset them. Worst case scenario for Colorado is this next stretch. I mean, this Colorado's bowl game hopes can end in the next 3 or 4 weeks, right? You lose to Utah, so you're sitting at 3-5. You lose to Arizona, who's a decent team, right? That game's going to be a shootout. You beat West Virginia. I think Colorado beats West Virginia no matter what. Arizona State beats you, and so now you're done, right? You have to win 3 out of these next 5, and you can't lose 3, right? So Utah, Arizona, and Arizona State are the games that concern me. And then worst case, where people are going to lose jobs for sure, is you lose 4 out of the last 5, and you go 4-8 again, right? You can't have that happen, right? So you guys let me know, what is the best case scenario for Colorado in your eyes? What is the worst case scenario? I think Best case scenario, they win a couple games here and there, make it to a bowl game, and sort of salvage the season and get ready for next year and sort of get ready for the Julian Lewis era. The worst case scenario, things fall apart. So thank you for making Locked On Buffs your first listen today. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Big 12. Drake Toll breaks down the most exciting conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championships and every game in between. Follow Locked On Big 12 on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.